Hey product manager, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nancy, your friendly PM coach. I was PM director at Roku and PM manager at Meta. And now I help clients get into big tech and thrive at L6 level and above. They work at companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, TikTok, Amazon, eBay, Yelp, and Atlassian. Today we're talking about one of the most ambiguous product sense prompts ever. Which company should Meta acquire next? This question is so broad and so ambiguous that oftentimes it's hard to think about which area to focus on. The clip that you're about to see is a recording of one of my coaching sessions, working with a client preparing for this question. Pay attention to how we broke down the problem space in a strategic and logical way, starting with defining what acquisition means and what the benefits are, and then considering what else is happening at the macro level before diving down into a focus area for Meta. And here's the clip.
Why acquire, or what acquire means buying a company, and you can do that for a few reasons. You can either do it to acquire the talent, acquire the tech, or maybe get into a new space potentially that can really take you somewhere else.
Great.
So that's the reason to acquire. So now we can go into the SWOT.
Yeah.
Okay, so strengths, we have the ecosystem, we have our billions of users, and the ecosystem includes the messaging apps, WhatsApp, Messenger, IG Direct, all the apps, and then users, the social graph, and the technology and workers, and also a lot of like capital to be able to like acquire new companies or hire good talent. So weaknesses, there's some stories around like our data privacy and just well-being on our apps. And so just like our brand is probably on the weaker side, given like the public perception of our products. Regardless of how much work we put into this, it's still something that's perceived as like an area to work on. So maybe just like having just gone through the SWOT, maybe I can think about where's an opportunity to keep our strengths and not take away from the weaknesses and not compete directly with the threats.
Yeah.
And when I think about opportunity areas, there's a good opportunity within the AI space. While we have a lot of advancement in this area, it is hard to hire talent there. And also the technology is quickly evolving. So staying up ahead of that is probably like a good area to focus on. And then there's also audio, which is a space that we've tried in the past, but still has a lot of opportunity there. Podcasts are growing. It's another potential way for people to engage with the Facebook ecosystem that I think we have a lot more opportunity there. So I'm trying to think of a tiebreaker here between these two areas.
Here is when we could pay attention to external factors. What's happening in the macro environment right now?
There's just overall economic uncertainty.
I think the president of the United States might care about in this moment in time.
Yeah, the election.
Okay. And so if that's coming up, then the presidential candidates must pitch something that they think that people would like. So what do you think that people would like right now in this moment in time? What do Americans want right now?
That's a good question. I think Americans probably want housing prices to go down, more economic certainty.
In general, Americans want to get ahead, right? Americans still very much believe in the American dream. Like you said, economic certainty would be top of mind also for Americans. The American way of life, like the American values, continues to be the golden standard, and that America remains the leader of the world. So in general, I think Americans might gravitate toward these type of values. Now coming back, so that's all the way up really high. Is there anything that Facebook can do to further the American dream, to strengthen the American standing, help with economy? We're not just competing with tech companies. That's very micro from this lens. But of course, we still want to leverage Facebook's strength.
Yeah.
Maybe we could leverage the strength and help with what Americans really care about.
So a couple things. I just want to make this a little bit more tangible. I guess if Americans care about the American dream and stability, maybe I want to think a little bit deeper around what that could mean in the sense. That could be maybe like career related,
Yeah.
be obviously like money
Yeah.
related, but maybe some financial
Yeah.
services and I don't think we could do much about like interest rates from a
Mhm,
Facebook standpoint.
mhm.
Maybe we could help with career, could potentially facilitate some financial interactions. Thinking about our ecosystem, is there we could do there?
Here's an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
There's an opportunity to appeal to the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they don't use Facebook is because there's no reason to.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a reason to, they would use it. Why not? And what do the young generation care about? If their goal is that American dream and younger generation, they have runway, they have time to actually get there. What if there's something that Facebook can do to help with the education? Because education probably needs some kind of reform. It's very old school, but that's not what the younger generation is about. We're seeing the shift already. Our generation is still very much about, we're gonna work until we retire. But
Yeah.
we're already starting to see a shift in the younger generation. It's not about working until we retire. That sounds lame. What if
Mm-hmm.
we could work and have fun at the same time? Now it's a different way of approaching the quote unquote American dream.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if we give a reason for the younger generation to use Facebook as part of their growing up. It's like a different way to get education,
Mm.
such that they could actually have the American dream that they want. That is not the old school version of the American dream, but the new school version of the American dream.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. I see what you did here. I like
Okay,
that.
what did I do? What did I do?
I think we scoped it down, right? So something a lot more manageable
Yeah.
and like a good opportunity. And now I'm thinking about either skill sharing or
Yeah.
yeah, and then that makes it I know how to
Great.
do a skill share product
Now,
sentence
yeah,
too.
now you've got it. Now you
Yeah,
could go do your regular product sense.
yeah,
But so
oh,
let's summarize what happened here,
yeah.
like from all the way up to something more concrete.
So first we defined what an acquisition was,
Mm,
just to narrow that down.
yeah,
And then we brainstormed what is Facebook good at? What are some weaknesses? What are some opportunities?
yeah.
I feel like I narrowed down like a little bit too much, but I missed the macro trends. And I think
Mhm.
that was like pretty important to bring it back
Yeah.
because we did identify teens, big area to focus on. And I know that's something Meta is consistently trying
Mhm,
to work on. And with the macro trends, yeah, Americans want the American dream, but yeah,
mhm.
that particular target audience is actually not interested in doing it the way that it's been done. Like
Yeah,
they want to just work until they die. They
you're right,
actually want to, yeah, have time to live life. Maybe they don't want to
right.
work a traditional job. Maybe they want
Yeah,
to do some like influencer type job or something in
right,
between because they actually have a different perspective on what's like actually important in life.
right.
And so how do we cater to that? Since it's specifically for acquiring a company, like
Oh, yeah,
the next step it's okay, target audience, picking a specific subset, their pain
yeah.
points, then picking a pain point and then developing some solutions. In this case, would we do like the for solutions, would we do this company? We would acquire, or I guess we don't have to say this company. We could say we would acquire a company that could,
That does these things.
okay, got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
exactly.
All right.
And then we go back to why people acquire. So it could be to acquire talent. In
Mm-hmm.
this case, I don't think it's a talent play. If you go down the AI path, then yes, you want to acquire the talent.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's also not necessarily to acquire new tech.
Right.
It's to get into this new space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, this was extremely helpful.
I first want to call out because I've been asked many times, how do you even know to zoom out and look at things on the macro? Like, how do you even know to do that? And I do that when I get stuck.
I
As
see.
okay, I did the SWOT, but now what?
Yeah,
Because now we're like, okay, we could do AI, we could do YA, we could do audio room. How do I pick? That
yeah,
is the signal that I am stuck.
I see. Yeah,
And that's when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna zoom out because
okay.
I need some other driver to help me narrow it down. So the way I zoom out is, okay, what's happening macro? And in this case, because it's so broad, then I'm like, okay, what do Americans care about?
Yeah, yeah, that was super helpful.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so I'll remember that. If I ever get stuck, just
Yeah.
zoom out and buy myself a little bit at a time, think
Yes.
through it.
And
Okay.
I actually recommend this even for questions that might appear simple,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the solution that you come up with will likely be very creative. Even
Mm.
when you're doing help people find doctor or help people find roommate. If you zoom out,
You could do a lot more than just that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. So I like to do the zooming out for every single product sense question.
yeah. Yeah, that's helpful. This is what I needed. Thank you so much.
That's great. Hopefully that was helpful. The technique that is highlighted in this clip is to zoom out and look at things that are happening at the macro layer and identifying a particular insight that is happening at the macro layer, pulling it down to leverage it so that you could strategically move the needle for this problem space that you are operating in. When you anchor your strategy based on a strategic insight that is true at the macro layer, and then you make decisions based on that insight, you would sound much more strategic and thoughtful. And that is how you ace ambiguous product sense questions at the L6 level and above. If you have any questions on this prompt, you can leave your questions in the comments below, or you can also join our free PM job search community. Link is in the description box. We host monthly community roundtables where we help each other prepare for interviews. Do you want to come? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will see you in the next video or in our next community roundtable. See you soon. Bye.